Tonight is Thursday night before a First Tech Challenge event, so here are the things that I do to get ready for that event as a first technical advisor. I like to start out with the thing that takes the longest, and that's charging things. So, for example, if you have tablets that you use for inspection and scoring, you probably want to throw those on a charger first thing so they can get charged. Similarly, if you have any power tools that you use, for example, I use this drill to help put together a field perimeter that's an older one that uses bolts, then you want to make sure that you have charged batteries for those. And finally, if you have any devices that you commonly lend to teams on the day of an event, like a spare driver hub, for example, then you want to make sure that that's charged and ready to go so that the teams can actually use it. Next, I do a round of software updates, and the tablets, again, are a great example. You want to make sure that you have the latest version of whatever browser is available on your tablets so that it is definitely able to support the scoring system. Similarly, if you use any Raspberry Pis for timing or audience displays, make sure that those are up to date as well so they're able to show the latest graphics and everything like that. The rest of the updates I do relate to the scoring laptop. I happen to have possession of the computer that we use as a scoring computer for my local league, and I like to make sure that the scoring software is up to date. Luckily, this is very easy because it checks for updates as soon as you open up the software, and it also performs a data download to get the latest list of teams. Thursday night before an event is a perfect time to do exactly this, because any updates that are going to be released have already been released. First has a pretty good policy of not releasing anything but emergency updates on the Friday before an event. And you get the latest team data as well, so that when teams show up on the day of the event, you can definitely add them to your event. If you want to be extra short, you can manually go into the scoring software and ask it to do a data download and check for any version updates. The other thing I like to do on the scoring laptop, since I generally keep a copy of the Rev hardware client on there, is make sure I have the latest copy of all of the pieces of software related to the First Tech Challenge. So the robot controller and driver station apps, and any operating systems related to the control hub or driver hub. Anything that you might want to download to a team's device if you're trying to help them get through field inspection on the day of the event. It's good to have a copy of those pieces of software already downloaded, so you have them if you need them, even if you don't have access to the internet. Finally, it is time to pack everything together, and the first category of item that I find myself packing on this Thursday night before a tournament are the items that you use to either set up or repair a field. So if you have any extra rolls of gaffer tape or any of the tools mentioned in the field setup or assembly guide, those are awesome things to have on hand. Second are any electronics involved in running the tournament. If you have the scoring laptop or scoring router, the tablets used for inspection or scoring, and any Raspberry Pis you used for timing or audience displays. Those are obviously important to pack. And finally, any items that you commonly lend out to teams. I mentioned the Rev driver hub before, but one of the most common items that I hand out to a team is a spare battery switch. So if you have things like this on hand, it's a great thing to bring to the tournament. Overall, you might not have all of these things if you're just starting out in your journey as a technical volunteer. Over time, you may take on more and more responsibilities. For example, I somewhat recently took on more responsibility regarding the audio setup of a competition, so I carry with me a mixer and audio cables. This isn't necessarily part of your responsibilities if you're starting out. You should make sure to communicate with the tournament director and know what is expected of you. Most FTAs should have some tools on hand, an extra set of tape if you're able to, mostly just a good pair of walking shoes, and a great attitude to bring into the event. All of the other stuff are stuff that you will gradually move into if you're comfortable and if you're able over time as you gain experience. So that's a summary of some of the things I like to do as an FTA in order to prepare for an event on the Thursday night before the event. Thursday night is a great time to do some of these setup tasks because you may be helping to set up the event on Friday night. You might not have an opportunity to charge everything you need to charge, and you might need to have already packed all of those things that you'll need for setup. It's also a great time if you're working as a robot inspector because you have an opportunity to see the latest updates to the Q&A. Knowing that First is not going to release any updates on Friday, before an event. If you have any tasks that you like to perform in the week leading up to an event, please share them with everyone in the comments below. In the meantime, I'll see you at the field.